So I'm going to do two sections together here. I'm going to do stakeholders and the different objectives of stakeholders and how stakeholders can be affected by changes, and also going to look at exogenous shocks. And I think this should become a lot funnier. Well, it's funny in itself, but it should become funnier by the time you've listened to all the presentation. First thing though, this is something that I read a lot in students' essays. They talk about money and they talk about people, but there's so many different terms for money and there's so many different terms for people, so try and be a little bit more specific. So try as much as you can not to use the word money in your business studies answers, and try and be specific. It took me 30 seconds to come up with all of those different words for money. I'm sure there's other things as well, but try and be I can't think of a better word than specific right now. And for people as well, I mean, when students put in the word people, I think, who are these people? Who are you talking about? Are you talking about employees or the community, or, you know, what we're going to see are actually stakeholders? Okay, so two definitions that people very often get mixed up: shareholders and stakeholders. So shareholders, you should already know, they're the owners of LTDs or PLCs. Okay, they own a part of the business. Whereas stakeholder, I know some of the letters are the same, but this is different. Stakeholders are anyone with an interest in the business because they are affected by the business's decisions. Okay, so shareholders are actually stakeholders, but not all stakeholders are shareholders. So here's just a general overview. There's loads more stakeholders that you can get, but we've got the government, local community, customers, competitors. Technically not a stakeholder, but you can put it in your answer. Welsh Board do accept it, and it sometimes makes your answer a little bit more interesting, so I would put it in if I were you. Employees, managers, owners or shareholders. Now, there is a bit of a disagreement over whether these are internal or external. I would class them as internal myself because they can vote on company decisions, but in some textbooks they're thought to be external stakeholders, so just be a little bit wary of those ones. Okay, so what are their objectives? What are their aims? So shareholders, typically they've invested because they want profits in the form of dividends, or they want a high share price. Customers, they want low prices, the quality products, good customer service. Suppliers, they want, you know, regular orders, they want repeat custom, and the payments for their supplies to be on time. Employees usually want high wages and good working conditions. The government want to be able to, you know, earn tax revenue from any profit that's made, or VAT, but they also want the business to provide employment as well for the local area. Which local area want employment? They usually as well local community, and we've got growing this thought that businesses in community should give back to the local community, so they might want some donation for charities or for in some way to help the local community. And trade unions want good working conditions for employees and higher wages for their employees. And competitors, well, they're not really a stakeholder, so I've left that blank, but you know, they want the business not to do very well. That's why they're not a stakeholder, really. But they'd want the opposite. Okay, so here we have a nice case study about John Lewis, and it says, discuss the view that the recent changes in the high street benefit some stakeholders more than others. So let's have a little look through here. So John Lewis have unveiled plans to open 10 concept stores, creating 3,000 jobs. So very good for local communities, very good for jobs, good for the government maybe, because they'll have to pay less in job seekers allowance. The concept stores will be roughly half the size of maxi department stores. That's good for kind of the areas where they open, so consumers can get access to more products. I would like a John Lewis to open up near to me. I have to travel to Manchester to go to my nearest John Lewis. I'd love a John Lewis near to me. Commercial director Andrea O'Donnell said that it represented a £10 million show of faith in the UK high street. She said, "There's been a lot of talk of the death of the high street, but we don't believe it, and we're putting our money where our mouth is. Our experience shows that when we open a new store, we also get a 10% increase in online sales in that locality." So maybe online sales will also increase. The first branch opened in Exeter in 2012, and O'Donnell said that all 10 should be open within 5 years. This move back into the high street seems to be a growing trend, with other firms like Tesco and Sainsbury's also opening mini stores. However, it's not all good news. Many other retailers, such as Game and La Senza, are disappearing from the high street. So some organisations and the stakeholders of those organisations have disappeared. Maybe that could benefit, Tesco and Sainsbury's, because there's going to be vacancies in their spots where the Game and La Senza were. So maybe they can get cheaper rents because there's people moving out of the high street. Maybe, though, it might cause a bit more congestion in your local town centre. So who would that harm? Maybe some of the local communities. Maybe other competitors might not like it. Maybe Debenhams could be a competitor of John Lewis, and they say, oh, more competition in the market. This will mean we'll have to drop prices. We'll have to maybe increase quality, which might increase our costs. It may even put them out of business, which would be bad for Debenhams employees. So lots and lots of different aspects that you can look at it. You've got to look at a range of different stakeholders. All suppliers to John Lewis will be rubbing their hands together, won't they? Because they'll be thinking, well, we're going to get more orders now, a 10% increase in online sales and new stores. Brilliant. So just think about a range of different stakeholders that could be affected in good and bad ways, and then try and break down the stakeholders that you're looking at. So it creates 3,000 new jobs. Now that's really, really good for an area, and I think John Lewis is a fantastic place to work, but not everyone's going to want to work in a John Lewis. Not everyone's going to want to work in retail, so it's good for a certain type of person with certain skill set, but not necessarily good for everybody. But I've just made a list of some of the changes that can cause differences in a business. So sometimes they're internal changes, so change of management, new technologies or new products come out. Sometimes there can be external changes, so a competitor might bring out a new product. How does that affect your business? Economic changes, recessions or booms, how would it affect your business? Taste and fashion change, maybe in a good way, maybe in a bad way. Legal changes, so health and safety rules get stricter, or things get banned, such as smoking indoors in public places. And political changes. We're obviously going to have a really big political change this year with the general election. So think about, how does that affect businesses? Will it be a good thing? Will it be a bad thing? What does it depend upon? Okay, exogenous shocks then. Exogenous shocks are anything that happen unexpected, and it's a change to the external environment. And it's usually, when they talk about it in the Welsh board, it's usually kind of a negative thing, but not necessarily. Some people win. So it could be all of these things that happened that were changes from the external factors. So just back there, all these external factors could be an exogenous shock. This is something I did with my students. So we looked at different examples. So we had unusually hot weather in 2013, very hot year in the summer. So who does that benefit? Maybe UK B&Bs and hotels, because people are holidaying in the UK. Maybe ice cream manufacturers, summer clothes, and maybe some clothes manufacturers and clothes shops. Maybe, though, it harms travel agents, because people are having a lovely time in the UK and they think, why bother going abroad? It's lovely and warm here. Health scares, who would that benefit? Maybe people that sell medicines or antibacterial hand lotion, but maybe kind of public venues. If it was a very serious health scare, serious like swine flu or something, public venues might be very empty. We might have a high absenteeism rate. And then I think we got this from the news, a halt on fuel tax increases. So that benefits kind of garages' sale of petrol, because the petrol prices aren't going up, but it means less money for the government in terms of taxes, so less money maybe for hospitals and schools. So you've always got to think of kind of both sides of the story. Who will it benefit? Who will it harm? and you get a type of question like this. So discuss the view that not all businesses will suffer as a result of the impact of exogenous shocks, such as the floods that hit the UK in 2012. So some benefit, some don't benefit. So tumble dryers in April have doubled because of the wet kind of spring and summer. Electric heaters had shot up. From tenfold, so very, very cold, 2012. So you're picking out which businesses benefit, which businesses lose out, but most importantly, explaining why. Why do they benefit? Why do they lose out? And that's stakeholders and exogenous shocks.